Fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangles back. Hook one while you can. And it's Bo time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
So, you found the one and want to get married? Next step, you need the ring. And not just any ring. The perfect engagement sparkle that exemplifies your love. Bailey's Fine Jewelry is here to help. Our diamond experts, wide selection of high-quality diamonds, and financing make saying I do easy. We guarantee you'll love the ring or your money back. You're invited to see why Bailey's has been voted best place to buy your diamonds. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to find out more.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit fighting to protect people's health, to preserve magnificent places and wildlife, and to combat climate change. Visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Isaiah gonna drive, got by Reed, put it off the window and down. Isaiah with a quick first step, and the lead grows to 4. Here's Knipple leading by 3. Comes off of a screen set by Cooper Flagg. Fed it back to him in the paint. Drives inside, takes the contact. Give it to him! And a foul as well. Gillis catches up top, launches again. Got it again! Back-to-back threes! And Wake Forest wants a timeout. They've taken the lid off of this one.
It's the Adam Gold Show. How you doing? Oh, we got a busy show today. Was that sufficient energy? I think it was. Hi, I'm Adam. That's Victoria. We are here for you. We got a lot of stuff to do. See, Greg Wyshynski of ESPN. We're going to talk Canes and Red Wings, although with Greg, probably not so much Canes and Red Wings. More about big picture NHL stuff. He was at Four Nations. He was at the Stadium Series game.
Nice.
He's seen Columbus and Detroit, by the way, up close. And right now, the Detroit Red Wings are in Wild Card 2 position. So this is, and by the way, in the calendar year 2025, in terms of, production, performance, the Red Wings have been better than the Hurricanes. At a record. February was no good for Carolina, and January and February have been very good for Detroit. Should be an interesting game tonight. And Carolina's trying to get some footing, so we're going to talk about that. We've got the settlement that came down, but before we get going, remember how excited we were for Hard Knocks, UNC football Hard Knocks?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not going to happen.
Right?
Now.
What?
First of all, what is HBO going to do?
Oh. What will they do?
Hard Knocks Duke football.
Yeah, lacrosse.
Well, then Bill Belichick would have been all about that.
He would have been crazy for that.
So, yeah, no Hard Knocks UNC negotiations broke down, and for a few reasons, I'm kind of disappointed about that. But regardless, I don't know that I probably would have watched because it was UNC. But to be honest, Hard Knocks ain't for me. But that's a loss, I think, for UNC football and ACC football.
Yeah.
But is what it is. I have an old friend who used to hate that phrase, and I don't blame anybody for hating the phrase. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Who every time I would say it, and frankly, he must be bored with it by now because he has stopped sending me that email. He would always send me "it is what it is" in Latin.
Oh, there you go.
Which I think is less ipsa loquitur. I think.
Yeah.
If I'm just going off memory.
I
I can understand that too. I'm guilty of saying it, but
we all are.
what else? It just fits so well. That's why people say it. That's why people use it.
Yep. We could go c'est la vie,
Yeah.
right? All right, let's see how much we can get done. Greg Wyshynski is actually going to join us in a little bit more than 5 minutes, so let's spend a little bit of time on last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Whoa!
Yeah.
So, slow start. 5 minutes in, not a lot of points on the board. 40 minutes in, a lot of points on the board. Look, I said this before yesterday. They can't set the line high enough for Duke to not cover. Unless you're playing one of those really good teams in the league, of which there are probably only 2 others. Nobody can keep up. They're just relentless. Wave after wave of great come at you. Their defense is incredibly disruptive. And they just have so many weapons. Tyrese Proctor was mediocre last night. Caleb Foster didn't play, by the way, but not that he's such a big part of this right now. But they just don't stop. By the way, real quick about point spreads. I'll be surprised if Duke on Saturday night at Carolina isn't basically what we saw at Cameron, which was only 13.5. I think it was 13.5 then. I'll be surprised if it's less than that. I will. And that doesn't mean North Carolina can't win. Hey, there have been upsets all the time. But I'm not sure you can set this line high enough for the Blue Devils, the way they're playing. Cooper Flagg was on another level.
Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 3 of 6 from three-point range. Did everything. Didn't get hit in the face. Knipple, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He made 2 of 4 from 3. Duke was over 46% rather, on offensive rebounds in terms of percentage. They just come at you over and over and over again. And something that John Shire talked about after the game that I really liked is how they're playing faster. We're going to get to that at some point, because the last time we talked to John, I think I just kind of casually slid it in that, you guys aren't playing fast enough for me, because in terms of tempo, they have been slower all year long, but now they're picking up the pace.
They are.
And when you have a better team, you should want more possessions. And I think we're going to see that going forward. Wasn't the greatest three-point shooting night, but Duke was significantly better in the second half. And what did we say yesterday? Duke plays to a standard, not the opponent. Because if you play to your opponent, you're not going to maximize your performance. And Duke, at this point, is playing to their own standard. The opponent for Duke is what they believe their benchmark is. And John Shire talked about the effort that he saw last night.
I just told him in the locker room, just thank you. Thank you for these seniors, our senior managers, our players, their commitment and dedication to this team and just growing every day has been incredible. It's been off the charts. And I couldn't be more proud, thankful. And in this game, John, we had 40 points at half. I thought we missed some shots. And give Wade credit for their physicality, obviously. But I felt good the fact that we won this game without necessarily hitting all our shots. Now, in the second half, we saw some fall, of course, but to me, that's what was special.
Yeah, Duke didn't shoot the ball well in the first half, and I think they missed at least 3, maybe 4 layups and dunks. That was contested. No, they missed uncontested layups and dunks, which is shocking, but happens. John Shire talked about being relentless.
That's who this group has been. They've been unselfish, and they've been dogs. They've been dogs, man. They've been tough, and we don't play for a score. We play to be our best, and something we've talked about since the preseason, and we've done that. And so for us, we coach them the same way regardless of the score, and they attack the same way regardless of the score.
There is a responsibility when you have this kind of team. They look like they are up to that challenge. A couple of more things, and then Greg Wyshynski will join us from ESPN. Canes are in Detroit tonight. UNC plays at Virginia Tech tonight. So there's that opponent, and then there is the reality of their situation. Heels have a very simple way into the NCAA tournament, just like NC State, by the way, into the ACC tournament. It's not as simple for NC State, although it's probably quite the same. State must win their last 2 games and then get help from Notre Dame in terms of 2 losses. North Carolina beat Virginia Tech flat out. I do not think you're going to beat Duke. Don't worry about it. Go to Charlotte, win twice. Maybe you'll run into Duke again, and you'll probably lose that one again if Duke does what Duke looks like they're going to do now. And just hope that the committee will look at UNC and say, man, your schedule was ridiculous. Why did you do that? Yeah, you were pretty close in some of these games, and give you the benefit of the doubt. Because, honestly, that's your path in. None of these wins have mattered a lick in terms of improving your resume. None of them. So, and stop worrying about Xavier. Man, Xavier's the win over Creighton on this weekend for Xavier puts him ahead of North Carolina. It sucks, right? But UNC has made this bed for themselves. And very quickly, the ACC reworked revenue distribution agreement seems to be done. Clemson and Florida State will call off their lawsuits, and they essentially will be free to go after the 29-30 season. We'll get into that more with David Hale coming up at the bottom of the hour. Hurricanes are in Detroit tonight to take on the Red Wings. A little bit about maybe that, or maybe more so the fact that the Red Wings have been really good since the calendar turned, with Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, who joins us on the Adam Gold Show at Wyshynski on Twitter. Before we get to where the Hurricanes are, you were in Columbus for the Stadium Series game. You experienced 4 nations. How about this run for the National Hockey League over the last month? Could they have put themselves in a better light in terms of appealing to sports fans?
Well, there's some good, well, I don't want to say good luck, mitigating circumstances involved, let's call it,
Sure.
in some of this stuff. Like, obviously, the NHL, when they planned 4 nations, didn't realize the international tensions that are inherent between the USA and Canada. They certainly didn't realize that the Kachuk brothers were planning on having 3 fights in 9 seconds to start one of those Canadian games to really get the crowd going. But I will give the NHL credit for 2 things. The first is the secret sauce for the 4 Nations tournament was that people tuned in for the USA-Canada rivalry, and they tuned in after they saw the fights. They stuck around because they saw the game being played at the highest level it could be played.
Yep.
And the smart thing the NHL did was get ahead of the Olympics in presenting the first opportunity for Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, the Kachucks, Cale Makar, all these guys to represent their countries in a best-on-best tournament against each other. And I think that's the why you saw what we saw in that tournament was these guys had this pent-up anticipation for several years and finally got their shot. I also have to give the NHL credit because Columbus is not really one of our most successful markets. Let's just be honest, right? Like they don't have a lot of sustained success on the ice.
Right.
It's a market that always seems to be moving towards success, but isn't quite there yet. But they put a game at Ohio State. They put Detroit in the game to get some of the Michigan rub from that rivalry. But it ended up being, I would say, being on site, 85%, 15% Blue Jackets fans. It was a moment for that fan base to really flex. And I think the NHL was really smart putting that game there and had faith that community was going to rally around it, and it was a really, really important and impressive moment for Columbus hockey. That was a Blue Jackets crowd that filled that 94,000 seat stadium.
Look, it was on top of the fact that, Detroit is also a good – Columbus has played great. We've seen them against the Hurricanes a bunch. The Blue Jackets are no joke. The way they're playing, I certainly believe that they will be in the playoffs, although they're certainly not guaranteed. In fact, the entire Metropolitan Division beyond Washington seems to be in a little bit of a – I don't know. It's in like the wash cycle of your. We have no idea how it's going to play out now. Columbus is just 4 points behind, actually 2 points behind New Jersey, I think. 4 points, 6 points behind the Hurricanes, so they're 4 points behind New Jersey. Detroit's right there. Both of those teams are in wild card positions right now. The Rangers also climbed back into it. But talk to me about the Red Wings in the 2025 calendar. 15-6-2, because they did lose to Columbus the other day in the outdoor game. This is a good team with, like, Lucas Raymond is a star, obviously a great player he played for Sweden in the Four Nations. The only thing I think that is somewhat shaky about them is that their goaltending is not amazing, but that kind of puts them in a lot of, the category of the Hurricanes and the Devils at this point. What do you like about the Red Wings?
Well, and the goaltending, which has been okay, I think, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Like, I think the coaching change that they made to Todd McClellan is really what you do if you don't have faith in your goaltending. That guy has the reputation of going to different places, L.A. being the last stop, and his system can insulate goaltending that on paper isn't really that spectacular. So that's, when they made that move, it made a lot of sense insofar as why you bring him in to solidify things. And he certainly has righted the ship there, as you noted. The Red Wings have, climbed back into this thing in a really impressive way. They've got some pop. I got to say that, like we were talking Four Nations before, I've never been more impressed with Dylan Larkin than I was in that Four Nations tournament. That guy really opened my eyes to his possibilities as a player. Maybe it gets obscured a little bit on some decent to mid Detroit teams during his career, but he's really, really good. Overall, not in love with their depth.
Right.
Wouldn't shock me to see them make the cut, but the Blue Jackets are such an interesting story, and they just seem to be continuing to push forward and not slide back like many of us maybe expected. And the Rangers, despite all their struggles this season, were always the team that I thought was going to make the playoffs. The goaltending is better than anybody else has on the bubble. Their offense is even better now that they made the JT Miller trade. Their power play can carry them for weeks when it's clicking. So Detroit's a little shaky. I'm pretty good on the Rangers. And Ottawa is another wild card there.
Yep.
Where week to week, they're either looking like a playoff team or looking like they're going to be back in the lottery.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, to the Hurricanes and their situation. I appreciate it. The trade deadline is Friday. It's reality, right? I'm not shying away from this. It's the team I cover, and I'm pretty close to the situation. And Mikko Rantanen has been, I think, good, but I don't believe he has been great since he has been here. And the Hurricanes have been okay. Certainly not great. The offense has been really missing, not just with Rantanen. It was kind of missing for the last month. If you did the breakdown, first 30 games, next 30 games, that happened long before Mikko Rantanen got here. Hurricanes are scoring 2 goals or fewer in half of the games since they passed the 30-game mark. But what do you think the chances are that Mikko is not on the roster Friday afternoon?
So let's have a conversation about this, because I'm curious about your take on this too.
Okay.
I can't wrap my brain around the idea that they made this trade for a negotiating window with Mikko Rantanen.
Agreed.
Like, I feel like they made this trade because just like they made the Gensel trade last year, they know inherently that this is a team that plays to the margins in the playoffs and is a team that is in one goal away, as you and I have talked about for many, many years, one goal away in many games from breaking through and playing for the Stanley Cup under Rod Brind'Amour. And so Gensel, his pedigree was as a playoff scorer. Rantanen, last, 6-7 years, has been one of the best producers offensively in the playoffs. And so you've made two trades that seem to address the Achilles heel of this team in the postseason. So then to turn around and kind of like sell 75 cents on the dollar Mikko Rantanen for pieces that don't have that pedigree doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And honestly, expecting a guy who had his absolute world rocked the way that he did less than 2 months ago to have certainty on where he wants to be for the next 8 years of his life, I think is also a bit naive. And the fact that he's not there yet is frustrating, but it shouldn't be the reason you cut bait with him. But the conversation I want to have with you is like, I don't believe any of this stuff.
Okay.
but what percentage do you put on it as far as its viability of them flipping Rantanen to like the LA Kings at the trade deadline?
All right, so I will get to that in a second. Here's the thing: when they made this trade, I thought from the very beginning it was mischaracterized by so many in the national media. I never for 1 second thought that it was an all-in move on this year. I talked about it as a move for the future as much as anything. But I do think that over the last, because it's now been about 5 weeks since it's actually 6 weeks, I think, since Blockbuster Friday. I think Friday is 6 weeks. And I think the Hurricanes have to answer two questions. Are they contenders to win the Stanley Cup this year? And my feeling is that they're a second-tier contender. I don't know how you look at it, but and if they're a second-tier contender, if they believe that they can't re-sign Rantanen, then I think the best move is to move forward without him. So I'll just that's just my feeling on where we are. I don't know any of this to be, that they can't sign him or not. It will definitely not be about money. It will only be about whether or not he wants to be here. They are Correct. Flush with cash. And they have already presented it to him a contract in excess of $100 million over 8 years based on what the reporting is. So I don't know if that answers the question kind of roundabout, but I do think there is a chance if they believe they can't re-sign him, like if he has told them, and I have no idea one way or the other, that, look, I'm going to July 1 regardless. And if they don't believe that will get them, Rantanen at the end of the day, then I think that there are pieces to this team that they can't address. They can't address goaltending. They can't address what has become a pretty average blue line, and that's with Jacob Slavin playing at as high a level as he's played. I don't know that they can address, and to me, that's the reasons why I don't believe they're a top-tier Stanley Cup contender, because they're not scoring 4 goals a game even when the offense comes back. And that's right. What they were doing for the first 6-7 weeks of the season. They were scoring 4 goals a game. It made all the other problems go away when you're scoring that much. Even at their best, they're probably between 3 and 3.5, and they haven't been that in 2.5 months. So I don't know if that answers the question.
I know it does, and the fact that you've given it any oxygen means that I think there's a possibility of happening, because you are, of course, a very plugged-in man. But I will say that, I'll say this: if they're concerned about the blue line, and they're concerned about the goaltending, I mean, back to napkin, they're going to have well over $16 million in cap space. Mm-hmm. With Orlov, Burns, and Freddie coming off the cap this summer. Yep. So, they're going to have the flexibility to get younger and get better. If the idea is trade Rantanen in some place where maybe you can get a goalie, I guess that makes sense, because those types of players are harder to come by. And if you have an asset like that and you can pry someone away from a team that's really good, maybe you do that. But I guess the thing for me is we're both talking around Eric Tulsky's name on this one, and I think right. A lot of the reason why people are giving this idea credence is because Eric is playing 8-dimensional chess while we're all playing. Right. We're just drooling on the floor while he plays chess. The idea of acquiring Rantanen and then punting on the season. Because essentially that's what you're doing. Like if you trade Renton, you are saying that our team is inferior, and then you come back to, well, why did you go and make the trade then?
Right.
Unless it was all about asset management, and I don't believe it was. I guess you can applaud the pivot depending on what comes back, but optically, it's just it's got to be giving some fans whiplash to have the team get the biggest player available this season on their roster, and then a scant 2 months later, less than 2 months later, be like, actually the team sucks and we're not going to sign him, and here's a new thing we're going to do. Like it's jarring to have that happen, but maybe that's what happens when you have somebody who's forward thinking and understands what the future's supposed to look like versus an old hockey person who's just going to double and triple down on a mistake they made.
Yeah, and what I think will happen, Greg, and we'll let you go here. I don't think they'll move him. I'm just saying that my guess is that it has to be considered based on their conversations with Rantanen and his representatives. So I don't think they'll move him. But the way I've talked about it is that it's very possible that we're here on July 1 and Rantanen signs elsewhere. And then look, I got no problem with taking a swing with one of the best playoff goal scorers in the last decade. Zero problem at all. And who knows? You and I have talked about this offline. Man, the East looks, at least the Metro side of it, looks vulnerable.
Oh.
Right? Anybody can come out of this side.
When you said second tier, I was racking my brain for a second. Like, who's in the first tier in the league? I mean, even the Caps and Jets, who have been trading first overall in the league all season, I've yet to meet anybody who thinks either team's going to win the Cup.
It's Florida's to me.
I think Florida comes the closest.
Yep.
I think Vegas, depending on what they do at the deadline, could be close. And then obviously you have to give Edmonton their due, although the idea that Stuart Skinner is not going to turn to a pumpkin at some point during the playoffs is a little hard to ignore. So you're right. I mean, that's the other part of this, too, is that I do think everybody who gets their ticket punched for the playoffs can at least feel like they've got a percentage chance of winning the Cup this year, because, again, maybe Florida's the team that is the big dog on the block, and you wouldn't have to worry about them until the conference final in theory. But everybody else in the league, East, West, what have you, I think has inherent flaws, and the Hurricanes could be the one that sneaks through at the end.
Again, and maybe the defense self-corrects. Maybe the goaltending gets better. We've seen a couple of signs here and there. I appreciate your time always, Greg Wyshynski. At Wyshynski on Twitter. The trade deadline primer just whet my appetite. Thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Anytime. Thanks for me.
All right, when we come back, the agreement signed. David Hale from ESPN on the ACC's capitulation to Clemson and Florida State. Next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tonight's forecast calls for Hurricanes hockey.
Svechnikov, tick-tack tied in Carolina on the man advantage.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 6:30. Puck drop at 7.
Save it, rebound. Game over! Sebastian Aho gives Carolina a 4-3 win in overtime.
On your exclusive home for the Carolina Hurricanes, 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and your home for NBA live betting. Let's say you don't get home in time to catch the Warriors and the Knicks, which starts at 7:30 tonight. You can still get in on the action. Steph Curry's going to make all the three-pointers, and the Warriors are going to win that game. So plan accordingly. So if you miss the first few minutes, don't worry about it. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. And right now, new customers can get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Enjoy the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At Wells Fargo, we know what got you into your business. Whether it's manufacturing, running a restaurant, or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for was banking. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place, in your neighborhood and on our app, so you can focus on doing what you love. Wells Fargo, you're good at business, we're good at business banking. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/business. Terms apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great.
At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all. And super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Now, as many of you know, my wife just had our second child, little baby girl, and parents say it with me. Kids are messy. We have a toddler. We have a newborn. There's dirt. There's crumbs. There's everything everywhere. And that means spring cleaning can't come here soon enough. So why wait? Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. The number is 919-995-0000, or you can go online at ZeroResRaleigh.com. Just say you want the $99.9 The Fan special. They'll know what that means. It's 3 rooms of carpets, cleaned, starting at $119, plus 20% off air duct cleaning as well. All you have to do is visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and ask for the $99.9 The Fan special. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same, Zero Res.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
I guess we should begin with David Hale, at a David Hale joint, both on Twitter and Blue Sky, and apparently Threads too. Can't use all of them, man. It's too hard. Congratulations on your Philadelphia Eagles winning a Super Bowl. I like that's kind of an old school cap there, sir.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Kelly Green. I like to go old school. I got my old Ron Jaworski jersey in the closet.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Jaws was tremendous. Jaws was tremendous. Do you have anything from Herman Edwards?
I had to give that over to the NCAA for some violations from his Arizona State days, unfortunately.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's get right to it. I said this yesterday. I put the time of death on the ACC at July 1, 2030. That's probably hyperbole, but with this agreement to dissolve the lawsuits that Clemson and Florida State have filed and the ACC countersued, it does appear that the league has basically said, all right, we're going to try to keep this together for another 5, maybe 6 or 7 years, but ultimately we're going to let you guys walk. We'll let you guys buy your way out of this league, assuming that there is still a league or there's still a structure of college football, when we get to 2030 or 31 or 32. What's your read on this settlement?
I don't think you're off by much. I think it accomplishes a few things. To your point, I don't know what college football is going to look like in
Right.
6 or 7 years, and I don't think anybody does. And a big part of this was giving flexibility to those schools. Now, there's sort of this assumption that if they can leave cheaper, then that's what they'll do. Maybe. I think there's certainly a realistic case, and not just them. Certainly Carolina, Miami, Virginia. Like there's other schools that could do the same. The question I think will be at the time: what does the landscape look like? Are we moving to super leagues? In which case, there's a bunch of teams that are probably going to be figuring things out, and a bunch of leagues that are going to be caving. Are we staying somewhat in the structure that we're in now? In which case, you got to do the math of does it make sense for us to go to another league and potentially take less money in those other leagues to be a part of a bigger league that's more competitive, or to stay in the ACC where maybe you have better chance to get to the playoff every year? Like right now, in today's landscape, if the money is close, which it will be under this new settlement, I think Clemson and FSU are better right where they are, because you look at a school like Oklahoma and what happens when you take more money to go to the SEC. And here's the thing. Clemson and FSU aren't going to get Oklahoma money to go to the SEC. If the SEC was to even welcome them, which is an if, it would be at some lower percentage of the total, certainly not network money and some of the other stuff. So right now, if you're within a few $1 million of what the SEC schools are making, and you have an easier path to the playoff, and you don't have to pay a buyout, you're much better where you are right now. How much different does the scenario look in 2030, 2031, whatever, than it does now? To me, that's the big question. So saying for sure it's all over in 2031 or 2030, I don't know. But what this does do is give Clemson and Florida State a runway to get to gauge where the wind is blowing, and does the same for all these other schools. It gives them a runway to prepare for a very uncertain future.
Yeah, and when I tweeted this out, David Hale from ESPN is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. When I tweeted this out yesterday, the time of death, my friend Mike DeCourcy, you know very well, said, where are they going? And that is the point, right? Are they going to go to? I think there's more of a chance that a Florida State would have, an interested party in the Big Ten, maybe, than in the Southeastern Conference. And who knows how all of those things work. But I am with you in that, or at least, I've been saying this for a while. I don't know that we're even going to get to 2030 before what we see now bears no resemblance to what the college football landscape is going to be, because if they've already done all of these things to completely destroy the fabric of the college football, ecosystem and concentrate everything within just two little pockets, then why would they stop? They'll go further with a super league for even more money concentrated on just not a handful, but maybe 50, no more than 60 schools divvying up billions as opposed to a lot more schools. So I just think that we're headed for an area where we don't even recognize it. It will be professional sports. It'll actually look more like, I think, European soccer than it will anything else.
That's exactly the comparison point that I have been hearing from folks inside college sports for 5 years now. And if you go look at like the EPL and how that formed and the history there, which I'm not a soccer fan, but I've read up on the history because of how much I've been told these two things will mirror each other. Boy, there's a lot of similarities in how that worked. And it basically, two things were realized: that the rich folks realized that if we all band together, we have a lot of control and can generate a lot of money. And the poor folks are holding us down. So we need a way to separate from the anchor weighing us down and maximize our return on all of us together. And the fact of the matter is that college sports, much like English soccer was before this incarnation, was sort of so anachronistic in a modern business environment. And a lot of us are going to say, man, that sucks. But the fact of the matter is money talks, man. Straight cash, homie.
Yeah, it's funny because I've become a huge fan of the Premier League and English football, but also, the whole European system. And within the Premier League, there is tremendous differing opinions, tremendous, like the varying opinions of what's good for soccer varies depending on just where you sit year in and year out in the table, right? So like clubs like Crystal Palace and West Ham, which are mid-table teams, they're screaming at the top. They're screaming at the Man Cities and the Liverpools of the world because they have all of these advantages. Right now, we have a system within the SEC where they're kind of on level footing, Vanderbilt and Alabama. But at some point, they may not be, right?
And look, there's the other thing. Money is obviously the driving force behind all of this, but there is a lot of other things at play here. There are still, believe it or not, schools that view themselves as institutions of higher education. And
yeah, they're all in this league. They're all in the ACC.
Yeah. So, but that matters to some places. Yeah, and the more professionalized you make this, I think you're going to see some places say, no, that's not what we want to do. And it's funny, the term I hear all the time now from ADs and administrators that I never heard before was ROI. What's our return on investment? And the cost of doing business today with rev share coming is way more than it was last year. So schools that are really trying to play at a high level are looking at a bare minimum of another $20 million they got to come up with every year to fund this. And at some point, some of these schools are just saying, it ain't going to be worth it to us to keep doing this. So I think you're going to see some schools opt out. And then, there's a political landscape to all of this. And anybody who's been around the NC State UNC thing, like there's a political influence here.
Yep.
There is a massively changing media market. Like how we consume sports has changed a ton over the last decade and will continue to change. And what and how things get funded is going to change as well. And then there's higher education as a whole, the business of higher education. Like, how is North Carolina funding this big new investment in Bill Belichick? Well, they're taking money from the university. And at some point, I mean, look at what's happening in the business of higher education at a lot of schools around the country. That money ain't exactly falling out of trees anymore. So all of these things sort of play into the larger ecosystem that is going to change a lot, already has, and is going to continue to change. So I think it's almost like we keep viewing what the future of college football will look like through the prism of today, or God knows, in some cases through 1980. And it's just not. It's going to be, I think it's going to change in ways that none of us are expecting.
David Hale from ESPN is joining us here. It also makes you wonder why UNC pulled the plug on Hard Knocks, because that was going to be, money to the university system. So revenue distribution will be based on, obviously, success on the field. So Florida State and Clemson, Clemson, to an extent, had that last year. Florida State clearly did not. It's going to be a rolling 5-year window, much like NCAA units for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. But it's also going to be based in large part on television ratings, which, if you're not good, I mean, ESPN ain't going to put you on primetime, which is going to damage your television ratings, so even more reason to be good. I think North Carolina will certainly benefit, at least in year one, for UNC. But there's a basketball component to this, too.
Yeah,
and if
absolutely.
there is,
so
does Duke come out a winner year two?
Yeah, I think Duke has a good chance of being a winner because there is a basketball component, and because Duke basketball, from a rating standpoint, is gold beyond what almost anybody else is.
Yep.
So it's funny. I talked to John Shire before the season. We were having a conversation with regards to revenue sharing splits, and they funded a research on their basketball program to find out what their value was as a basketball program. And according to Shire, now I also think anytime you have funded a survey or research, you get the answer that you paid to get.
Right.
But according to John Shire, the basketball program at Duke, from a brand valuation, is effectively on par with a upper level Power 5, Power 4 football program.
Yep.
So I think Duke has a chance to benefit. Carolina, from my understanding, will be a school that benefits. There's from what I understand, the school that's at rock bottom is probably going to lose somewhere $7 to $8 million per year if they're continually at the rock bottom of this. And the schools that are at the top, somewhere between 15 and 20 million, they can benefit from. My guess is a good portion will lose a little bit. A few are going to kind of break even. A few might make a little bit more, and then 2 or 3 are going to see a sizable step up. But to your point, there is some variability in who that 2 or 3 are going to be. You know, Florida State pushed for the success initiatives and then went 2-10. The highest rated ACC football program last year was Georgia Tech. Not because Georgia Tech was great; they were fun to watch, but they played a week 0 against Florida State, and they played a Friday night week 14 game against Georgia that went to 7 overtimes.
Yeah.
And that's good for ratings. I do think you're going to see. Because of this, over the next few years, a real emphasis on scheduling better opponents, because better opponents means better TV ratings.
Or how about the ACC blows up their scheduling model and guarantees the teams that they believe will be the best in the league playing each other later in the schedule? Backload the schedules. Have Florida State play a bunch of Hostess cupcakes at the beginning of the season, so we get to November and they're 8-0. I mean, I could have subbed any school in there for Florida State. But this is the way I talk about Duke basketball, and we'll close on a little bit about the actual Duke basketball team here before we let David Hale go. I think Duke basketball is Notre Dame football. Nationally, yeah. I mean, like if you looked at, I think it's ESPN's ranking of the top 15 or 20 rated basketball games this year, the only thing that beats Duke basketball is 1 versus 2. Auburn, Alabama rated higher than any Duke game, but Duke's like 6 of the top, other than that game, Duke's like 6 of the top 8. And it's like whoever plays Duke is on TV. Part of that is Cooper Flagg. What did we watch last night? What a show. I mean, they had a slow start. They actually didn't shoot very well for like the first 7 or 8 minutes, and then it was an absolute rout. They are so good.
I don't know. There's part of me that says, like, boy, the ACC is bad this year, so maybe we need to say, like, all right, 30-point wins are actually – a 15-point win against good teams? I don't know. But this is John Shire talked about this last night, about how he views his primary job as the head coach is roster building, roster construction. Right. And I thought that's just such an important thing to take away from how he has addressed building this specific team. I mean, he had an idea 2 years ago, basically, of exactly how he wanted to construct this team. And it's worked out brilliantly because they play so well together. You have a great mix of like lottery pick freshmen and really strong leaders, veteran leaders who play their role really well. And look, Cooper's one of the short list of guys that has exceeded the hype. And he's not flashy in the way Zion was flashy there. But if you're a basketball purist, I can't remember the last guy that you should have loved watching as much as Cooper, because he does everything so well. There was a play in the first half last night where he kind of dribbles in, attacks the basket, and he's going up, and he's got a shot. It's not the easiest shot. It'll be contested, but it's a makeable shot for him. And at the last second, without even looking, he dishes it for a dunk. And it's just like, how many guys do that? And you look at his stat line last night, and it's just unreal. And you think, boy, I feel like I just started watching him, and that was his last game. No, his last game. Maybe it's not his last game. It's definitely his last game in Cameron. And what a note to go out on, because I don't think you could see a much more quintessentially Cooper Flagg game than the one he played last night, where it was almost like, he had a few wow moments, but at the end you still look at the stat sheet and you're like, how did all of this happen?
Yep. He was amazing. I said this about 2 months ago. He's not the attraction that Zion is, but he's a better basketball player. And that's not a knock on Zion at all. Cooper Flagg he can do every single thing on the basketball court. Man, I hope they have a good long run in the NCAA tournament so we get to watch him on this stage for a long time. David Hale from ESPN, congratulations to your Eagles. And let him repeat next year. They were a fun team to watch. I wish they would ban the tush push, but it has nothing to do with the Eagles.
Get out of here. If you said this at the top, I would have just hung up on you.
If you can't drag a guy, why can you push a guy? That's my only point.
If it's so easy, why isn't everybody else doing it? That's
I didn't say it was easy. It has nothing to do with success. I would just make it legal to drag a guy in the end zone. That's all.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with that then.
It's about that.
Right.
What is the difference between pushing and pulling? I don't know. David Hale, thank you, man.
See you guys.
I'm serious. All right, we got one-timers and an admission. Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit. As long as you win your first $5 bet, time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. So, but yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
Hey, man. It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. All right. Here's my admission before we do one-timers. I was watching one of the videos that we spit out of this show on YouTube. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show. We're live on YouTube every day. And it occurred to me yesterday, my posture sucks. So.
Well, sometimes that's how you got to learn. Stuff like that. You just got to videotape yourself.
Awful. Just awful. So, shoulders back. All right, let's do one-timers.
Well, from our YouTube stream, we don't really have questions, more so statements.
Okay, that's fine.
And they feel a certain type of way about our Canes on the road. A couple people, there's someone who said the Canes' road game is atrocious. Another one said that they can't sleep on the Red Wings tonight because they need to bring it. So, in a nutshell, in your opinion, what's the biggest hurdle for our Carolina Hurricanes against the Red Wings tonight?
We got to play a clean game. Can't give the puck away in their own end. It would be great to score a goal. By the way, the Red Wings have the second best power play in the league.
Thanks.
And they have scored 10 of their last 21 times with the man advantage. Right now, Carolina's penalty kill has not been awesome. So I don't know why Carolina suddenly hasn't been good on the road, but they haven't been. I think primarily it's just because they've stopped scoring goals. In general, teams score a little bit more when they're at home. Hurricanes have really struggled to score goals. I don't think it's their main problem, but in terms of why it's been scratchy, right now it is.
All right, sticking with the Canes talk. So if Mikko did not stay here, which, we're hoping that he does, but given if he does not, is it just a gimme that he would go to the Western Conference versus an Eastern Conference?
I don't think destination is a gimme anywhere, and I don't rule out Carolina. Look, this place, Jake Gensel wanted to stay. I think I made that clear yesterday. So I think this is a team that is conducive to winning. I think the locker room is great. I think Mikko fits in personally, but that doesn't guarantee anything. The money's not going to be an issue. So I don't think it has to be a Western Conference at all. I think he could stay.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina!
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. I'm going to give you a scenario here which will make you thankful that you, like me, have always done your mortgages, whether it's an original mortgage or a refinance, through Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Let's say you went to a different company and you paid closing costs because, man, I can't turn down that rate, and the rates are never coming down. But they did. In 8 months, they dropped a half point. Actually, they dropped a half point in the last month. So you've already paid cost. Now you want to get a rate that would take you significantly lower than you were when you got the mortgage, but you can't do it because you wasted $5,000 in closing costs. Don't be in that position. Don't be that guy. Miller Lending, never pay costs, ever. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Looking for a new vehicle? Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford is one of the only dealerships where you can shop all 4 brands under one roof. Get unbeatable deals on new and pre-owned vehicles. Our expert service department keeps you on the road, and our full body shop handles any repairs. It's all here at Wilkinson, where quality and convenience come first. Drive with confidence. Drive with Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC on NC 87 South in Sanford, or online at wilkinsonCars.com.
It's bow time. Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Every season can be punishing for your roof. Mother Nature is a fierce opponent that doesn't take a break, which is why you need RoofWorks on your building maintenance team. Hi, this is Holly from RoofWorks. We specialize in keeping your commercial roof in great condition no matter what the issue may be. We offer roof inspections, roof repairs, and if needed, a full roof replacement. We help determine if there's a problem with your roof and advise you on the most cost-effective way to handle it. Contact us today at roofworks.com. That's RoofWorks.com.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's nonstop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah! Big money!
Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instants for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Gets the ball to Meshack. Meshack's going to take it. 2 seconds. Meshack, 1 second. Launches the three-point shot. Good! At the buzzer. Meshack wins it for Tennessee. With 3.8 seconds to go, Tennessee brings it up the floor. And Jemai Meshack hits the biggest three-point shot in his career. Jemai Meshack, the game winner from near midcourt as he hits that three-point shot. And Tennessee has knocked off Alabama 79-76. What a game, what a shot by Jemai Meshack.
That was wild. Alabama had the ball. It was Alabama had the ball with a chance to win it. Turned it over. SEC is an awesome league this year. Absolutely awesome. We'll talk a little college basketball here. Jerry Palm is going to join us toward the end of the week as we'll get into brackets in front of the final weekend of ACC regular season play. Real quick, shouts and congratulations to our friend Julius Hodge, head coach at Lincoln University. They made it to the semifinals of the CIAA tournament, which was played in Baltimore, Maryland. They ended up losing to Virginia State in the semis, and Virginia State went on to win it all, so good for them. Good year one for Julius Hodge. We expect only greatness from our friend Julius. All right, let's run this one back for a second time. Dig it. Before we continue, we could have played "It's a Hard Knocks Life" from. You know what Broadway show that's from?
Is it Annie?
Yes.
Oh,
very good.
Nice.
But it isn't a Hard Knocks Life because North Carolina isn't doing Hard Knocks. They have pulled the plug on that deal, and that's unfortunate because I think it would have been absolutely fascinating to get a behind-the-scenes look at the UNC football machine that is Bill Belichick and company. And They're not going to happen. Negotiations broke down. I don't know where, but they did. Also, a good chunk of money that probably isn't coming into the football program, but either way, or the university. I don't know how that money was going to be distributed. So it's not going to happen, and that is too bad. So no Hard Knocks offseason for UNC football. All right, we're going to start with the Atlantic Coast Conference caving in. We are going to get to the Hurricanes who play in Detroit tonight. But the ACC did cave in to whatever. Clemson and Florida State, squeaky wheel gets the grease sort of mentality. And let me just give you like nuts and bolts of this, and then I'm going to read from our friend David McKenzie, who is an intellectual property lawyer in town, and he is not happy with the deal because ultimately what we're dealing with is an intellectual property case. That's what this is. Your football is your IP. And all of these schools willingly gave their IP to the league as a whole to sell to whomever, in this case ESPN, several times, but twice in the last 10 years. We'll get to we'll get to the nuts and bolts real quick. So the deal is done. It'll be signed and agreed to, if not already, certainly by the close of business today. And here's what was obvious to me, is that the league took a perceived strength, the grant of rights, which was holding up in court and would have continued to hold up in court, and they made it a weakness by giving in. They simply said, all right, we know we have a strong position. We know we will win lawsuits, but for whatever reason, and I'm not going to editorialize, we'll just leave it open to interpretation. For whatever reason, the league decided to bend over to the whims, to the demands of Clemson and Florida State, the threats, continued lawsuits. They decided it's better to do that than to simply stand behind the legal strength of grant of rights. That's what they decided to do, again, for whatever reasons. And I'm sure over time we will have those reasons explained to us. I don't know why you would do that, but they did it. And maybe it's because by agreeing to end the lawsuits, which were not going to be ended from Clemson and Florida State, you create a scenario where for at least the next 5 years, nobody's going anywhere. So we're not talking about it at all for 5 years. I do think when we get to year 5, I will be shocked if Florida State and Clemson remain in the league. But let's bring something else in here. If we're under the assumption that the current state of play in college football today will be the state of play in college football for the 2030-31 academic year, I think that's probably a mistake. I do not believe we will resemble anything like the current when we get to that point. So I think what is happening here, and again, I'm speculating, is that Jim Phillips and the presidents of the ACC are saying, yeah, we're going to trade peace for the next 5 years because we don't believe, we might not even make 5 years, to be honest. Because at the start of the 2030-31 calendar, you can buy your way out for $75 million. That's the number. $75 million. Buy. I mean, the ghost of Burt Reynolds will pony that up for Florida State. So that's really where we are here. The ACC and to an extent maybe college football as we know it won't be around in 2020, in 2030. So real quick about the other part of that is, and Mike DeCourcy said this to me yesterday, and we'll talk basketball with Mike maybe this week, certainly next week. Where are they going to go? Where's Clemson and Florida State going to go? North Carolina would have a home, no doubt about it. And in 2030, maybe North Carolina's in the Big Ten. 2030, 31, and that announcement would probably come before, but that's where they head. Because they can buy their way out for $75 million. And David Hale brought this up last hour, in that when you enter a new league, in general, you do not enter as full, revenue sharing member. Because it makes sense for North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson to enter the Big Ten at 60 cents on the dollar, or do you stick around where you are for a full share, even though it's a little bit less than the Big Ten? You're not getting the full freight from the Big Ten. I don't know. It wouldn't be completely shocking if teams decided or schools decided to go and accept the bad deal. I mean, there's bad deals all over the place. Anyway, it does appear that the ACC has bent over. That's the way I look at it, and I think they signed the league's death warrant. The only thing that gets in the way of this, in my opinion, is, does football just break away and everything else maybe snaps back like a rubber band? And I would advocate for this across all sports. Football, do your own thing. To ask, we'll call them Olympic sports, that's what North Carolina calls them, the non-revenue sports, essentially. Everything not named football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and to an extent baseball. But I would say everything not football. It doesn't do them any good to play in these leagues as they are. Doesn't. Nobody's benefiting. There's no student-athlete experience to point towards. Heck, there's not even one in football. It's just all about money. So I will be interested to see if football just separates, it does its own thing, and then we go back to more manageable conferences within other sports. So maybe we go back to, let's just say, 10 ACC basketball schools. What? Yeah. What if we did that? What if we completely did that? We just went back to a more sane world of college sports and let football be insane, because football is insane. I'll be curious. Real quick, I want to read David McKenzie's thoughts on this because I thought it was hysterical. He said, again, David McKenzie, intellectual property attorney who has been on this program before. The ACC settlement with Florida State and Clemson isn't a show of strength. It's an admission of weakness. After months of legal maneuvering, courtroom theatrics, and baseless sovereign immunity arguments, the conference has now rewarded two of its most disloyal members with more money and a structured escape hatch. If this is stability, it's built on sand. Let's be clear. Florida State and Clemson are the most unreliable contract partners in college athletics. They signed a 20-year grant of rights in 2016, enjoyed every financial benefit, then spent the last 15 months trying to wriggle free using the most dubious legal strategy available, sovereign immunity. They wielded the power of the state not as a shield but as a weapon to undermine a contract they voluntarily signed. Instead of holding firm, the ACC caved. This settlement isn't about preserving the ACC. It's about delaying the inevitable. Like, there's some other things in there, but I don't want to sit here and read from his Twitter handle for the next 5 minutes. But, yeah, a lot of that is 100% true. It is. It's whether it's a good deal or not, it's clear that the ACC had a position of strength and gave it away. And only they will know why they did that. All right, to what happened. We're going to get to basketball with Rod Baxley coming up in a few minutes. Canes are in Motown tonight. I want to bring in Elliot Friedman here. Is that he has thoughts on where the Hurricanes are as we sit here 3 days before the trade deadline. Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet in Canada and 32 Thoughts, the podcast.
Look, Carolina has to make a decision here. What do they feel comfortable doing? Do they feel comfortable going for it? Or do they say, you know what? We don't like where this is going, and we're going to try to see the best player that we can get or the best return that we can get.
I don't know what's going to happen here. I think it's more likely than not that Mikko Rantanen is on the roster Saturday, which means he was not traded Friday, and the Hurricanes will just ride this out. And what happens, happens, as I said yesterday on the program, through poor posture. If they feel like Rantanen will not sign, if they have been given that indication, and I am not in any way saying that they have or haven't, there's so many thoughts. I don't want to trip over my own stuff here. But if they don't believe that they will re-sign him at the end of the season, they have to decide when the embarrassment comes. Does the embarrassment come Friday of selling, at less than full freight for what they gave up to get him? Or do they want that embarrassment on July 1? I mean, I understand why you would delay it. Look, we're gonna look like fools either way.
Yeah.
We might as well go for it.
At least you could say you gave it a try that way.
Absolutely, and that would be justified.
Mm-hmm.
And as Greg Wyshynski and I talked about last hour, the truth of the matter is that, man, the East looks open. So it almost doesn't matter when you go, as you're playing now, as long as you make the playoffs, which, by the way, no guarantees. Hurricanes are on 74 points, right? I would point out that Montreal is 9 points behind Carolina right now. Carolina just lost to Montreal 4-0 in Montreal. The Canadiens are 9 points behind the Hurricanes, and they are outside of the wild card race right now. So they are, if you did it, they're 5th in the wild card chase. That's how tight it is. So the Hurricanes, you're going to have to earn your way into the playoffs. It's not going to be a gift to you. And the Hurricanes are still playing better than .600 hockey. So, I mean, it ain't all that bad. We get gloom and doom way too easily here. So, if you get to the playoffs, especially if you finish second in the Metro, and that's where they are, Devils have played, nondescript hockey, although they get Jacob Markstrom back tonight, who's been missing due to an injury, their best goalie. So if the Hurricanes maintain position, you get into the playoffs. Wouldn't take that much for Hurricanes just suddenly start playing better, because it happens. They could end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, not even kidding.
Yeah.
So if they do that, then it's probably worth the 21 more games starting tonight. So it would be 19 more games of Mikko Rantanen, even if you don't re-sign him. But again, if he walks, there's going to be that pill. So whether you do it Friday or you do it July 1, I mean, you may be in that position. But then again, maybe you convince him to stay.
Yeah.
Which is not out of the realm of possibility at all. So there's a lot about this that is very up in the air. But Friedman is right, because I think everything is on the table for the Hurricanes. I think keeping him is absolutely probably the more likely scenario. But I do think if they could receive something that they believe maybe not makes them better, but is something that they need, whether it's today or going forward, I think they would make the move. And I think they are not afraid. They don't care what other, what pundits say about them. They do not care about it. They are all about what they believe is best for this team. All right, when we come back, a shocking number about Duke men's basketball. And we'll talk UNC at Virginia Tech, but also UNC versus reality with Rod Baxley of the Fayetteville Observer next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Caniacs, get ready for Iced Tea, a brand new podcast that gives you the behind-the-scenes stories from the Carolina Hurricanes. You watch the game back?
Yeah, all the time.
And are you hard on yourself?
Oh, God, yeah.
Any of the players ask for their crust off?
We do have one player that I cut the crust off, and I individually wrap it for him.
Your name is on the Stanley Cup.
It's the best trophy in sports.
Follow Iced Tea with Megan LaMontagne in any podcast app or watch the show on YouTube.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen. The average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Adam Golden Studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. When I say everything for the exterior of your home, I mean it. So tell me everything that you have for the exterior of my home.
There's so many things I can't even remember the entire list. You know,
Good luck.
Thanks for the test here. But windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters, gutter guards, railings, you name it. We have the exterior home improvement you're looking for. The main thing is we're a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to call 2 or 3 different contractors if you need your roof done and you need your windows done. You can call one company and have it all done.
I like that. French doors.
French doors.
I like French doors. I can't speak French, but I like French doors. Can I tell you, back in the day, you guys did French doors and every window in a home I used to own.
Well, thank you for your business.
It was incredible. Can I also tell you that it was done in like 2 days? Is that even possible?
It is possible.
How do you guys do work that fast?
We're good.
You're
We're
fast.
good.
That's Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. They do the best work in the industry and the best customer service in the industry as well. AluminumCompany.com.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb. Expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer $149 or less. And soon, one expert tax prep for $149 or less. Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
Adam Gold Show. Is my mic on? I have no idea.
Well,
need the light
buttons,
fixed here.
When the buttons work.
Yeah, I hit it, and I don't know if it's on or not. Hi, everyone. It's Adam. I'm Adam.
Have you noticed you mentioned the word last segment?
Motown.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm playing all Motown bumps today.
I'm here.
Trying to get some good mojo to the Canes.
We need it.
They need it.
We absolutely need it. I'll tell you who doesn't need good mojo, and that's Duke men's basketball. Over their last 7 games, all wins, the Blue Devils are averaging, if my math is correct, and math is not always a strong suit, but I can do simple math. Their average margin of victory is a shade under 32 points per game.
What?
32 points per game.
Until I'll put a bet on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
It'll go down.
The closest one was an 18-point win. I guess that was at Virginia. Rod Baxley from the Fayetteville Observer is joining us now on the Adam Gold Show at Rod Baxley on Twitter. 32 points per game. And I realize that the ACC ain't all that, and I'm not even trying to make it more than it is. Most of these wins should have been blowouts. But the fact that they were such blowouts, what does that tell you about Duke's approach at this point?
Yeah, I was talking about this last night with the guys, Adam, how they've kind of maintained this momentum when you're blowing out team by team. But Sion James had a good point. He said, look, it's the standard. Whether we're up 40 points or 40 points, we walk into a game and it's not like, hey, let's win by this number. We say let's challenge ourselves possession by possession to improve and do what we're supposed to do and trust that the outcome will be what it is. And what it's been is, like you said, almost 32 points per game average margin of victory. Not too bad.
No, not too bad. I do want to dig into what we saw last night, especially from Cooper Flagg. That's hard to do, though, isn't it? When you're so much better than the other team, it's hard. It's hard to keep your level of, your attention to detail, because they could play a B-plus game, and they could have played a B-plus game last night, won by 20. But how do you get to a point where that is unacceptable?
Yeah, it's a good question, Adam. I mean, these guys seem to be so locked in no matter who they're playing. They want to just stay on this path and put that 6 banner up in Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's been the focus all year. That's been the goal. So whoever's in their path, they're like, well, let's steamroll this team and keep it going. Okay, another team to steamroll. Thanks for playing. On to the next one. I mean, over the last 4 games, they scored 400 points, and they won those by 30-plus points. So they keep getting better, and they're doing this with some adversity. I mean, Malik Brown has missed these last few games. Tyrese Proctor was out for a game and returned last night. So they're able to beat you in so many different ways, which has just been really impressive.
Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I will fold this into North Carolina. It is, I think, important to point out that North Carolina, for the most part, has been doing this to a lesser extent, but doing this as well of late. And I guess we'll kind of flip it to Duke at UNC on Saturday. No, I want to get to Cooper Flagg first. Was that last night basically, this is who I am at this point. I can do anything you want. I can shoot. I can distribute. I can defend. I mean, there was a steal in the second half in which he fronted his man and kind of reached back and intercepted a pass. It was a lob pass. He had blocked shots. I mean, what is the weakness in his game?
Yeah, there's not one, Adam. I mean, you saw it last night. I mean, we were watching him throughout the game. He's shaking his head, throwing up his hands, and at one point, I think he had an and one, and he says, they can't guard me, and he was right. I mean, he just keeps getting better. It's so hard to believe this kid's 18 years old because he always seems to make the right play. I mean, he had 7 assists last night, 1 turnover. I think over the last 6 games, he's had 30 assists and 3 turnovers. So this is just incredible. I mean, if there was any debate for National Player of the Year, it's over now.
I agree with you. I think Cooper Flagg is the National Player of the Year. I think he's the best player in the country. I think he'll be the first pick in the NBA draft, all of that. But the argument for people is that Auburn's the best team, and I'm not even arguing that. I know Duke beat them. That Auburn's the best team, and is it Janai Broome is the best player on the best team, and Broome is great. There's no doubt that Broome is great. So this is not about whether Broome isn't good enough. But I mean, I think it'll be a relatively close vote. Is that fair?
I think so, but if you because of the SEC and obviously Auburn's playing this schedule that is just good team after good team, and I think if they played right now on a neutral court, they probably would be favored by a point or two over Duke because of the schedule they play. But when you look at it a little bit deeper, I think Flagg as a defender is so much better than Janai Broome, and the numbers back that up. I think we were looking at Evan Mia's stats on his website. I think Flagg is second in defensive rating or one of his metrics there, and Broome is in the 30s. So that tells you part of the story. And most of the damage Broome does is inside that painted area. Then you look at Cooper, and he's 94 feet in the end. He can affect the game from sideline to sideline and baseline to baseline. So I think that's where the difference is. But, yeah, it'll probably be a close vote. And like I said, I mean, any other year, Broome would be a runaway winner. But unfortunately, Cooper Flagg's in college this year.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's worth pointing out that Broome missed, I don't know, a couple of weeks with an injury as well. Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer here. Final thing on Flagg, and then we'll get to the UNC Duke matchup, and UNC is at Virginia Tech tonight. What are the chances that Flagg, I mean, we know he's going to sweep freshman and player of the year in the league, but what are the chances he also adds defensive player of the year?
I think pretty good now, Adam. I mean, it also depends on what these teams do as far as submitting players. I know in the past some teams have sent different players for different awards, maybe to kind of spread the wealth a little bit. But I think at this point he's got to be the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year too, especially with Malik Brown being out these last few games. I think before then it was more of a conversation because Malik Brown, anytime he's on the court, it feels like he walks on there with 10 deflections. So he would be very deserving, but I think at this point it's looking like a clean sweep for Cooper.
That would. I can't remember the last time it might have never happened. I really don't know that anybody was ever rookie player and defensive player. Can he also get sixth man? No, he can't because he starts. We have a sixth man of the year award now in the ACC. Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, North Carolina. I mean, I'm going to go on the assumption they do the business at Virginia Tech tonight. They have to. There's no option for them. What do you see happening Saturday at the Smith Center?
I mean, I'm hoping for a good game, Adam. You never know in this rivalry.
Right.
As we've seen time and time again. But it's just such a bad matchup for the Tar Heels. There's not a lot of paths to victory if you're trying to break it down. I think they absolutely have to continue staying hot from three. I think over the last 5 games, they're well over 40%, around 46%. That has to continue. And they absolutely cannot turn the ball over. Duke has pounded teams with turning turnovers into points of late. So those are 2 areas in which Carolina absolutely has to be very good if they want a chance. And they still could lose. I mean, this Duke team, as we said earlier, just has so many ways to beat you, and it's just a bad matchup for Carolina. Now, they're playing a lot better with this bigger lineup. They've been rebounding at a high level.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when you look top to bottom, it looks like it's too much to overcome. But you never know until they hit the court. So we'll see Saturday.
Yeah, and the rivalry sometimes takes over, but something that you talked about earlier, we've heard from Duke, and I talked about this kind of a lot yesterday, is that Duke's not playing the opponent right now. They have moved on from the opponent. They are now playing themselves at this point. They're competing against what they believe is their standard. And if they can successfully do that, even in the game on Saturday, I don't think it bodes well for UNC.
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, we all want to see a great game.
Right.
I know the Smith Center will be rocking initially at first, but like I said, there's just too much talent on this team, and this team just seems too focused as far as Duke goes. I really don't think they care who they're playing. They're just like, okay, let's get out there and play and see what happens and move on to the next opponent. There's such a singular tunnel vision focus there with what they're doing.
All right, before I let you go, Rod Baxley, at Rod Baxley with 2 Ds for extra defense. I guess you must have been a lockdown guy back in the day.
No, 3-point line to 3-point line, Adam. 3 and no D.
Very nice, very nice. Give me the scenario where Saturday is interesting to the point where North Carolina can win it.
Well, I think stay in attack mode. If you're passive against pressure and passive against really good teams, they're going to really pound you. But if they can somehow find a way to get Duke in foul trouble, get Malawach off the floor, attack Cooper, get him in foul trouble, and like I said, take care of the ball, make double-digit threes, that is the path. So I think those are 3 absolutes for Carolina if they want to pull off the upset. Attack, get to the foul line, get those guys in foul trouble, make threes, and take care of the basketball.
The fact that Duke is now upping their tempo, because for most of the year they were, one of the, 50 or so slower teams in the country. But the fact that they are upping their tempo, doesn't that make them even more dangerous?
Yeah, it absolutely does, Adam. I mean, when you see these guys get the ball on the long rebound, every single one of them are looking ahead. I mean, I can remember a few instances with Canales. As soon as he gets it, it's gone ahead, or Cooper. So, yeah, there's been an emphasis, and John has talked about it. I think they call it their red zone offense, trying to get what they can early. But, yeah, as if they weren't more dangerous. I mean, it's if they didn't need to, get more dangerous. Here they are, increasing possessions and scoring 100 on people.
400 points in the last 4 games. That is an insane number. They play 40-minute games in college. Rod Baxley, again, the ACC is no good. Do you think North Carolina is going to get a bid? Let's say they don't beat Duke. Let's say they go 0-3 against Duke, but win tonight, win twice at the ACC tournament, which would be 1 win over either probably over a Louisville or a Clemson. You think they get in?
Yeah, I think they need to win twice and then win 2 in the ACC tournament. I don't think it's likely. Look, they had so many chances against teams in the NCAA tournament field, 11 Q1 games.
Yeah. And
they won one of those games. They've got 1 win against a team in the NCAA tournament. Are they one of the best 68 teams? Yeah, but that's not how it works. So right now, I don't think they're an NCAA tournament team, but they are playing their best basketball, so we'll lace them up and see what happens.
You're the man. Rod Baxley, at Rod, 2 Ds, Baxley. I think you sound like a great defender to me. You sound like a 3-and-D guy.
I knew angles, Adam. I always knew where to be on the floor. But if you need me in a one-on-one situation, we're in trouble.
Oh, man. All right, man. Take care. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, real quick about the Blue Devils. Duke has 4 players on their team who have attempted at least 100 threes. 4 players. That's a lot. That's a lot of 3-pointers. Because Duke has now played roughly 30 games, right? Oh, no, 30. It's 27-3. So they played 30 games. So if you've attempted 2 threes a game, I mean, that's a lot, right? So shockingly enough, Zion James is under 2 3-point attempts a game. So if you drop the number to how many guys have attempted 50 threes, the Blue Devils have 7 of those players. The worst 3-point shooter of the 7 is Caleb Foster at 33%. Flagg, 38%. Knipple, 39%, almost 40%. James, 43%. Proctor, 40%. Isaiah Evans, 44%. Mason Gillis, 36%. Everywhere, there's a three-point shooter. Only when when Malawash is on the court or when Malik Brown is on the court. And they've attempted some, but yeah, you'll let him shoot all day long. Those are the only guys who play that you would say, go ahead. Everybody else, you better get out. They are one of the most impossible teams to defend in the entire country. Don't know how it's going to play out. And I know it's hard to win a national championship. It's super hard. You need luck, whether it's bracket luck or there's going to be a game where you don't play well in the NCAA tournament for whatever reason. What did Rod say about foul trouble? The other team making a bunch of threes. Your shots just don't fall on a given day. You're going to have to overcome that. And I remember some of the best teams that I have ever seen, including a Duke team, needed to overcome, not themselves, but to overcome a situation. One of the most famous shots in Duke history, maybe the most famous shot in Duke history. Leitner's shot to beat Kentucky in the regional final in 1992. I mean, that shot, it's a great shot, but you had to overcome that game. There's probably going to be a game like that somewhere along the road for Duke. Keep this in mind. They have lost 3 times this year. In all 3 of the games, they had the ball with a chance to take the lead in the last 30 seconds. All 3 games. They didn't win them. You lost to Kentucky that way. They turned it over twice in the last 30 seconds. You lost to Kansas that way, and you lost to Clemson that way. They could have won those games for the same price. They didn't. There's going to come a game where they're going to have to win a game like that. Maybe they won't. And that could be in the Sweet 16. You don't know. It's going to happen. You're going to have to overcome, or maybe they'll just do what they've done over the last almost month and lay waste to everybody. No clue. They are awesome. They are fun to watch, too. Super fun to watch.
Very, yes.
I will agree with Rod. I would like to see a good game on Saturday.
Me too.
I want to see a game where we don't know the outcome 5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah.
The game at Cameron Indoor Stadium between North Carolina and Duke, we knew what the outcome was 5 minutes into the second half. We knew it.
Put on a show for College Game Day.
Yeah, well, Duke's shows lately have been a demonstration of what we can do. It would be great if the game took over, but if I were a betting man, wait, I am.
That's what we do.
I don't even know what the line is. Give it. All right, we'll come back. We'll stretch and place bets next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. We're going to stretch. Then we're going to place bets. I haven't seen, I don't think anybody would see a line on the game Saturday just yet. We do know that North Carolina, I think, a 7.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech tonight. State plays tomorrow in a last gasp game against Pitt where, I mean, there's no option. You have to win it. They would be eliminated with a loss. 2 games behind Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the only team they can catch that they have a tiebreaker with. And if Notre Dame, I think they play Stanford tonight or tomorrow. And if Notre Dame wins either against Stanford or Cal, that eliminates State. State's got to win both, and Notre Dame's got to lose both. If that happens, see everybody in Charlotte. More miracles. But, man, State's got to win too. And
yeah, and that feels like a miracle by itself.
Whoo, boy. All right, let's stretch.
This also feels like a miracle. I'm obviously looking for treasure in the wrong places.
Yes,
because
I'm sure.
Because this story that I'm reading about, you know how sometimes people will find food that reminds them of something? A lot of times people will say, you know, they thought they saw Jesus in toast or something like that.
It has happened.
Well, I've been looking in the wrong snack bag because Flaming Hot Cheetos supposedly had a Pokemon in it.
Really?
Sort of, kind of. Yeah. So I am not as familiar with this as maybe others, but if you are a fan of Pokemon, then you might know the character Charizard.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You just spoke a different language.
Maybe it's Charizard. I don't know. There's somebody screaming at their whatever they're listening to us like, it's this, it's that. Well, there's a Cheeto that kind of looks like this character that's a rare character, and they're calling it Cheetozard. And for all of those Pokemon lovers out there, an online auction decided that they were going to sell it. So they put it in a little case that looked like it was a Pokemon card. I've seen this picture. It's a stretch. I would advise people to look this up because it's a stretch. However, it wasn't a big enough stretch for it not to sell for $88,000.
Whoa!
So the original bid was $250,000. But it ended this past weekend and sold for $88,000. The winning bid was actually $72,000. But of course, you have to have fees and taxes and all the other stuff,
Those
just like everything else.
Pesky fees.
Yes. So, yeah. What are they going to do with it? I have no idea. Now I want to figure out who bought this Cheetozard, for $88,000.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do with it? Whatever. To each their own. Hey, if you've got almost $90,000 to spend on a weird Cheeto, then more power to you. However, I don't think it's gonna cost that much to get this weird banana. So in the UK, scientists have been working on creating bananas that stay fresh for 12 hours after they've been peeled.
What? That ain't a banana.
I know. I don't know.
12 hours?
Why are you peeling it and waiting 12 hours? Whatever. So these scientists, what they've been doing is tweaking the genetics of it, basically. So they're saying they're not putting any GMOs in it to make you, grow like a fourth or fifth or 10 eyeballs, whatever. But it's supposed to still taste, smell, and the texture is all supposed to be the same. They're just adding or editing the genes in a banana that will help disable the enzymes that make it brown.
Gotcha.
So really, this is what we're putting our efforts into.
Yes,
so.
It is.
This is what we're doing. However, this will launch actually later this month in several countries, including the U.S. and Canada. I did find it interesting, though, that it's not going to be released in Britain, where the scientists are. They're saying it currently bans the sale of genetically edited plants and fruits. So I would be a little cautious if I were you and this weird non-browning banana. I don't know. But if you see that, I'm sure it'll cost a lot more than, the regular old ones that you have to eat within, 10 minutes. But also...
Yeah, after you peel it, you gotta go.
What are we doing?
Unless it's not ripe.
Oh, gosh.
In which case it might last an hour.
You just leave it alone if it's not ripe. One thing that, maybe might ripen your spirits is don't force yourself to be too happy. So researchers said, I know it's winter and it's doom and gloom and it's gray and stuff, but researchers are saying if you try to force happiness too much, it's going to actually work against you. So in a nutshell of this article that I read, they want you to basically chill out when you're trying to make yourself happy, because if you force it, it's just not going to work. It'll snowball. So if you're trying to do some woo-saws, just breathe, let it happen. Because if you force it, it ain't going to happen. Just like other things in life. And maybe like our bets.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal in Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me.
I owe you nothing.
Try not to force a good bet, but
Yes. All right. I don't know what I did yesterday. I think we did okay yesterday. I don't really. Duke minus 19.5. Over 144.5. Duke's a one team cover and over by themselves. That was plus 245 if you did it. All right, let's do it. You go first.
All right, well, all on the ice today. So the Nashville Preds are going to be in Boston taking on the Bruins. Preds have been on the struggle bus, so I think this will be an obvious Bruins win. Who knows? It's never obvious. So give me them, but I'm going to take the over 5.5. That's plus 220.
All right. I'll break everybody's heart later. We're going to try and buy a win tonight.
No.
We're going to try and buy a win tonight. But with that said, Jordan Martinook, anytime goal scorer, plus 600.
Oh, that would be great.
Tonight.
I would love that one.
Because the recipe to a Hurricanes win is that line cashing in. So Jordan Martinook, anytime goal scorer, plus 600.
Love to see that. Well, Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just got a loss yesterday against the Panthers, so I think they're going to rebound at home. Give me Tampa Bay Lightning to win. I'm going to take the under 6.5 plus 215.
All right, we've got Champions League soccer today. Already one game is ongoing with Aston Villa playing away to Club Brugge from the Belgian league, and that is 1-1. But I've got Arsenal and PSV draw. It's like plus 300 or plus 350. Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid also a draw, plus 260. And Lille to win away to Borussia Dortmund at plus 500.
Oh, nice.
Give me Lille.
Club Brugge. It sounds like a fancy water.
Isn't it? It does. It does.
Right beside the Viking water. Last but not least, I'm going to the Carolina Hurricanes game tonight. Not really, because it's in Detroit, but that's going to be my last one. You know what? Give me Mikko Rantanen so we can talk about positive things and maybe help him stay here. So Mikko to be an anytime goal scorer, plus 130.
All right. Finally, North Carolina is away to Virginia Tech. The line is now -8. Give. Tar Heels are going to go up there and do the job. They have to have no option. Zero option. The team that we have been watching over the last 5 games that has won 5 in a row that looks like it's hitting its stride, hey, a lot of that is because they're playing crap teams. Get in line. Virginia Tech is a crap team. I mean, that's not completely fair. They're just not very accomplished, and they are outside of the top 100 in college basketball. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of those teams. Let's see, we have 8 of those teams in the ACC, teams that are ranked outside of the top 100. Here's another one. North Carolina needs to lay waste to them. I think they will tonight. -8, Tar Heels, get it done. Wall of sound when we come back. You'll hear from Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet on the Hurricanes, and then Will Brinson will join us to talk football.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Which of us, detective, do you suspect is the millionaire?
The evidence is everywhere. Your diamond necklace, Monty's new yacht, and the butler's new convertible. Admit it, you're all Maximilian scratch-off winners.
Of course we are. With 25 prizes of $1 million, you could be too.
New Maximilian from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 2.95. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $119, and take 20% off your air duct cleaning as well. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com Just say you want the 99.9 The Fan special. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same, zero res.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Deep River Sporting Clays is the only dealer in the area for Caesar, Guarini, and Fab Arm masterfully crafted Italian shotguns that blend artistry with precision. Our collection includes the innovative Siren line, the first shotguns engineered specifically for women shooters. You get unmatched Italian craftsmanship, stunning details, and competition-grade performance. Visit our showroom to see these exceptional shotguns and demo one today. Our expert staff will help you discover the perfect match for sporting clays or field hunting. Learn more at deepriversportingclays.com.
HIV is not a crime, or it shouldn't be.
It's time for the laws to catch up to science.
Join the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation to modernize outdated HIV criminalization laws. Go to etaf.org. Campaign funded through the support of Gilead Sciences, Incorporated.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my superhydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Like I said, I think when we play defense at an elite level and we play to our strengths and guard how we normally guard, it definitely helps us all around. I'm just getting in transition, getting some early, easy looks. And then once we can, get out in transition a couple times, we can slow it down, execute a play, because we got teams on their heels. So I think it's just our ability to guard and shut teams down that really helps us.
Duke just absolutely opening up a can on Wake Forest. That was a competitive game for 8 minutes. And then Duke just stretched it out. And Duke wasn't even all that great offensively in the first half. They were great defensively. And I think they only led by 13 at halftime. They scored 40 in a pretty down half for them. It is incredible. I think the last time I saw a team doing this game in and game out, it was the 2009 Tar Heels. Remember, for those people who don't remember, that North Carolina team was loaded. Lawson, Ellington, Green, Hansbrough. Just absolutely loaded. I think they won every NCAA tournament game by double digits. You weren't beating them. Flat out, you had no chance. And this is not that Duke team because there are legitimately great teams across college basketball. And they're probably going to run up against one of them, maybe in the Sweet 16, certainly in the Elite 8. So right now, Duke's going to be the 1 seed, probably in the East. You'll see Auburn 1 seed in the South, Houston 1 seed in the Midwest, and then one of probably Alabama, Florida, or Tennessee as the 1 seed in the West, depending on who goes further in the SEC championship in their tournament. But whoever's a 2 seed in the East, heck, that could be the third best team in the SEC. And that is a team that can absolutely beat you. So, I mean, I don't think there's a ton of great, but there's a lot of danger in this NCAA tournament. So we talked about it before. You got to be, not only do you have to be great, you got to be lucky too. And we'll see if the Blue Devils can, dig their way out of a tough spot at some point in the tournament, because that is going to happen. All right. Basketball will lead us off in the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right. We will start with the head coach, John Shire, on what he sees as a relentless team.
That's who this group has been. They've been unselfish, and they've been dogs. They've been dogs, man. They've been tough, and we don't play for a score. We play to be our best, and something we've talked about since the preseason, and we've done that. And so for us, we coach them the same way regardless of the score, and they attack the same way regardless of the score.
All right, we're going to move on to point guard Tyrese Proctor, who's in his 3rd year. I do remember that when Duke bowed out, was it the 2nd round to Tennessee? I think it was the 2nd round to Tennessee a couple of years ago. Proctor was the one guy who really played well in that game. Duke was young. They were easily pushed around. Proctor really played well in that game, but it was a loss. And now it's quite possibly his last kick at it. I mean, he's a pro, whether he's an NBA pro or he's going to go, maybe he goes home and plays professionally in Australia, which has a great league. And, he's a pro. And who knows? Maybe he does come back next year. Remember Cameron and Caden Boozer are coming in. Anyway, for Proctor, this is a team that has started to play faster.
Yeah, I think especially off makes. We implemented a couple of things. I think it was after that weight game, just to get the pace a lot quicker, make teams get back quicker. And, we're so versatile, so it allows us to just get downhill easy and get spray out threes pretty early in the shot clock.
There's the worst thing that has happened to any opponent is Duke playing faster, because that's been their only Achilles is not really the right word, but if you have better talent, if you are a better team, then you increase your chances of winning by how many possessions there are. If I'm better than you, I'd rather play a 75 possession game than a 65 possession game. It just stands to reason. If I'm better than you. Now, if I'm not as good as you, then I'm okay with it being slower. Fewer possessions should create more pressure on the better team. Cooper Flagg, best player in college basketball. I was on with the guys in Charlotte today, and they have, one of their guys is pro Janai Broom. He's a great player. To me, I think it's an easy choice. Not that Broom isn't a great player, and he's going to get plenty of support because he's a great player on arguably the best team in Auburn. But there's nobody better than Cooper Flagg. But he also is smart enough, and this is, I think, one of the reasons that it helps him be so good. He understands the players around him, especially the older guys around him.
All of our guys, even the guys that don't get into the game most of the time, Neil, Stanley, Spencer, even those guys just being on the scout team. There's been days where they've killed us on the scout team and kind of mimicked some other teams that we've had coming up perfectly and just gotten us so ready. So just the value they bring to our team of just competing every single day and pushing us to get better and get ready for the next game is huge.
Also, I think it's worth pointing out that Mason Gillis, Sion James, and even though he hasn't played in a few weeks, Malik Brown. I'm not sure any coach has ever gone into... Now, the rules of engagement are different now than they were 15 years ago. There's always been a transfer here and there that really was good for your for what you do. But in this modern transfer portal era of basketball, has a team ever absolutely nailed the portal like Duke has with James, Gillis, and Brown? I mean, just home run, home run, home run. Gillis is one of, he doesn't play a ton, but, man, he can absolutely make an impact in the game, especially with his perimeter game. Sion James is a dynamite player who has a great three-point shot, but is also strong defense. And Malik Brown, when he's healthy, elite-level defense. I just don't know a team has ever hit the portal better than Duke has. All right, tonight, Duke, sort of. Carolina, the Hurricanes are in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. More on, maybe not the Red Wings, but from the Hurricanes in a second. First, Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet and 32 Thoughts, the podcast in Canada, on where Carolina is 3 days before the trade deadline.
Look, Carolina has to make a decision here. What do they feel comfortable doing? Do they feel comfortable going for it? Or do they say, you know what? We don't like where this is going, and we're going to try to see the best player that we can get or the best return that we can get?
I think everything is on the table for the Hurricanes. Everything. Between now and Friday at, 3 o'clock. Everything is available to them. I think they are fielding calls. I think they would be interested in moving Rantanen on if they determine that they're not really a strong contender to win the Stanley Cup. As we said with Greg Wyshynski earlier, and you're probably hearing the rewind, at least part of it, the fact that the East is so up for grabs. Washington has had a great year, but how many people have great confidence in Washington advancing? To be perfectly honest, would anybody be stunned if the Rangers ended up the second wild card team and beat the Capitals in the first round of the playoffs? Would anybody be surprised at that? No. Not a soul would be surprised at that. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus beat the Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised. And then it comes down to Hurricanes, Devils in the middle, possibly. Although Columbus is right on both, the Devils and the Hurricanes, back end. The Hurricanes could beat the Devils, and then all of a sudden you're in this, once again, Canes, Rangers, for the third time in, 4 years in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Could be. Absolutely could be. And because I think we've watched the Rangers this year, they're just kind of okay. Great goalie, but just kind of okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hurricanes could win 2 rounds of the playoffs almost as they are right now. And the Tulsky, Dundon front office might go, that's good. We'll just keep it up. Keep it as is. And if we don't re-sign him, we'll just deal with it in July. I think that's the most likely scenario. I really do. I hope the Hurricanes can maximize who they are in the postseason. I really do. Because that would make the potential losing out on Rantanen long term, at least that would make it worth it. Even if you don't win a Stanley Cup. If you get to another Eastern Conference final. Maybe you get to a Stanley Cup final. Again, the only team that I think Carolina would have a real trouble beating is Florida. I think Florida's the best team still. and they're getting better. All right, let's move on. When we come back, Will Brinson's going to join us. So for the second straight year, the Bengals have franchise tagged T. Higgins, the wide receiver, formerly of Clemson, but now he's going to just, I guess you're going to have to just slum it at like $28 million. But that doesn't equal the value. Remember, Jamar Chase held out for during training camp. Oh, actually, he held in. I think he was at training camp but not participating. I wouldn't be surprised if T. Higgins did the same thing. And where's Sam Darnold going to play? Plus, we have some other things about the NFL with Will Brinson next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tonight's forecast calls for Hurricanes hockey.
Svechnikov, tick-tack tied in Carolina on the man advantage.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 6:30. Puck drop at 7.
Save made, rebound! Game over! Sebastian Aho gives Carolina a 4-3 win in overtime.
On your exclusive home for the Carolina Hurricanes, 99.9 The Fan.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's nonstop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah! Big money!
Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instants for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Time is running out, folks. I need you to go to caniacsbike.com. Dennis Cox here for the Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, the Law Tigers, Tobacco Road, Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Simple to enter. Go to caniacsbike.com. Sign-ups last until April 6th. The bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. Caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50. Add any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen. The average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, 149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. 149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
This is Here's Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
Motown. That's where the Carolina Hurricanes are for tonight. Be cool to get Chip Patterson's take on what we saw with the ACC today. Tomorrow, on tomorrow's program, also David McKenzie is going to join us, intellectual property attorney. He has been super critical of the agreement that settles the lawsuits that Clemson and Florida State have both filed against the ACC. And I agree with him, but I also think that the reality is that everything's going to be so different in 5 years. I'm not sure it really matters. And it ends the lawsuits, and everybody can go on and pretend that they all love each other. But we don't have to pretend when it comes to Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, who joins us. Let's talk about franchise tags real quick. Second year in a row, T. Higgins, franchise tagged by the Cincinnati Bengals. Does this end with a contract extension for him, or does he just play and suck it up for, $28 million or whatever it is he's going to make this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's still making plenty of money.
Yeah.
He's and you have the situation. Like, the problem for the Bengals is, they drafted Higgins in the second round. They draft Jamar Chase in the first round. They have Joe Burrow. They pay Joe Burrow. It's not too dissimilar to what the Cowboys are running into with their star players, where if you wait and you wait and you wait, one, the cost of doing business becomes more expensive. And T. Higgins is not going to take wide receiver 2 money to be the Bengals wide receiver 2. He wants wide receiver 1 money.
Right.
And he's played the season on this big contract. And the franchise tag, I think the sort of the general, it's still, players still don't like it because it's a 1-year deal. It minimizes the ability to move around, to make more money, to maximize your earnings over the course of your career, all those things. But it's still like you're still getting $26 million for a single year of football. And in all likelihood, with modern medicine and sort of the way that the athletes take care of themselves, even if you tear your ACL in week 17, you still have a good chance of being back for the next year. So I think they're a lot more comfortable with it. That being said, if the Bengals had taken care of business with T. Higgins ahead of time and had paid him, they'd be in a much better position to figure out the Jamar Chase contract and to put everything in place. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Cincinnati, given the the issues they have on defense as well, decided just to to let him play out this franchise tag, or even tag and trade him. I think both of those things are certainly on the table, particularly the tag and trade, where you don't have to get 2 ones back for him. You can figure out some sort. He can go negotiate with other teams. You can negotiate the compensation with other teams coming back. I think that's still very much on the table. I mean, credit to the Bengals for not letting him walk out the door by using the franchise tag and keeping that leverage. But you also got to ding them for not getting something done sooner, because if you do that, you get to avoid these situations where you have a player who's mad at the team and a team that, like a guy, somebody who wants more than what the team is probably going to be willing to pay him.
Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. So you alluded to Cincinnati's defensive struggles. If you're going to be shelling out, and I said this about the Dolphins last year, if you're paying Burrow and Chase and Higgins all this money, and I know the salary cap went up in the NFL, how do you put a representative defense on the field that allows you to take advantage of this kind of offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly tougher when you can't pay all your defensive guys. And, I think what you have to do is you have to sort of figure things out. You have to have your blue chip players. You have to have who, hopefully under rookie deals or, cheaper contracts that you signed them to. And, you have to be able to, it's just when you look at teams that do a really good job of staying competitive year in and year out, and the Eagles and the Chiefs are great examples of it. It's you have to be you can't be reactionary. You can't think reactionarily. You can't think in a reactionary fashion, I guess.
Right.
You can't get like, all right, well, when we get to T. Higgins, like we'll figure it out with him then. You have to take advantage of the system, sign him early, and then you can go out and sign the defensive players that you need to make the team whole, or draft guys who you can plug in when the veterans get too expensive and have to move on. And so I think that's sort of where Cincy has failed a little bit. They've done a good job in drafting and developing guys, even on the defensive side of the ball. But then you have a guy like Jesse Bates, who they had the franchise tag. He walks out the door after one tag year, and he is a superstar in Atlanta. It's just sort of like it's an ever evolving process with your roster. And again, teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs do a good job of staying ahead of those trends and staying ahead of things you can anticipate, which the Bengals just haven't done here.
Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, first of all, Davante Adams has been released by the Jets, which not a surprise. They already moved on from Aaron Rodgers. There was no way you were going to also keep Davante Adams. If you had to guess where Adams might surface, where is it?
Wherever Aaron Rodgers goes. I mean, it feels like that's the same. It's one idea that's not insane would be the Green Bay Packers again. Josh Jacobs said they need a wide receiver one. He's familiar with the team. They traded him. I think it's probably pretty unlikely, but I mean, they would make sense for him. The Chargers would be a good fit as well.
Yeah.
You pair him with Justin Herbert, and then you have Ladd McConkey and sort of slide Quentin Johnson into that third wide receiver deep threat role. That would be a pretty good look. I think the Steelers make a lot of sense as well if they go out and get Rodgers too. I don't know if he's going to want to catch medicine balls from Justin Fields. I mean, Rodgers is probably going to play somewhere, right? So it's not crazy
really?
to suggest Adams goes wherever he goes.
Don't you think? I'm not sure where Rodgers fits.
I think it depends on what happens with Sam Darnold in Minnesota. He could fit in Minnesota, I think. Obviously, unlikely Adams would go there with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison already in the fold.
Right.
But if Pittsburgh is a possible landing spot for him now that the Rams have, the Giants, I wouldn't totally rule anything out there. I mean, they could certainly use Davante Adams along with Malik Neighbors. You can tell yourself a story that Rodgers works in certain places. It could. I mean, why can't it just be that the Jets are the problem and not Aaron Rodgers?
Oh no, the Jets are the problem, but Rodgers is the problem too. The Jets are the problem for thinking that Rodgers was the solution.
My impression of the Rodgers thing is that he doesn't want to go out like that.
Right.
And I don't blame him for it. First ballot, slam dunk, Hall of Fame career.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll find somewhere to play. To me, right now, again, the Giants need help. They have a third pick. They could trade up to one with the Titans if they love Cam Ward, and the Titans aren't in love with Cam Ward. Or you sit at 3 and take Jackson Dart, who I think is a really good quarterback out of Ole Miss. But if they don't, Rodgers makes sense as a veteran. And then, again, with Pittsburgh, I mean, this is a team that's got a great defense.
Yeah.
And they're able to run the ball effectively. Najee Harris is going to be a free agent, but Jalen Ward's a good back. And you have Pickens there. If you added Davante Adams, two big body receivers that, I think Aaron Rodgers could run an Arthur Smith offense, or they could fashion an offense together that would be pretty, Aaron Rodgers is not a volume guy.
Right.
I mean, the Steelers are not a volume offense team. So I think that his efficiency and ability to sort of manage the offense and not make many mistakes could make a lot of sense in Pittsburgh.
I think Rodgers' 2 MVPs when Matt LaFleur took over the Packers, they really were a run-first team.
Yeah,
so,
and remember, Matt LaFleur, the guy who left Tennessee to take the Packers job and was replaced by Arthur Smith. So you got some connectivity tissue there.
Yeah, and it would work really well, except that Rodgers is washed. And so here's my bigger question. And
less washed than their other veteran quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, no, they're all washed. Justin Fields is the only one who isn't washed, and he's just probably not very good. How will Mike Tomlin respond to Aaron Rodgers' trip to Egypt the second week of training camp? How will that fly?
Yeah, I mean,
in Pittsburgh?
I think the Tomlin thing is a little tricky, but I mean, this is a guy that has full control and autonomy of that roster and that locker room. And I think Aaron Rodgers, knowing that he could go to Pittsburgh, not need to be the guy who just elevates everyone on the offense because they have the pieces in place on the other side of the ball, and that they can, be a better version of the offense they had last year and be a playoff contender. I think Aaron Rodgers, has probably eaten enough humble pie in the last 2 years with the Jets that he. I think he'd be willing to sort of like go in there and play ball with Mike Tomlin. I think the two would get along once they start talking. Honestly,
I don't see that, but I mean I could be wrong. I've read situations wrong before. But real quick about my reference to the trip to Egypt has there ever been anything more disrespectful to a professional football team than a scheduled vacation in the middle of training camp than what because that's what Rodgers did, as though he didn't know when training camp was.
Yeah, I mean, that schedule comes out pretty early, and you're fairly wealthy with the means of altering your he can probably change that vacation up without
the change fees. The change fees for that flight to Cairo, man, that is just too much.
I mean, but I think that probably speaks to what happened with the Jets and that franchise just completely empowering him as a player to do whatever he wanted, up to and including bringing in Alan Lazard, trading for Devontae Adams, the Randall Cobb. Just going out and getting all of his guys. And I think the difference with Pittsburgh is that's not how the Steelers are not going to accommodate that nonsense.
I mean, it's just it's amazing that he wasn't cut as soon as he took off, as soon as the plane left LaGuardia.
Instead, they're like, "Hey, can we give up some picks for your best buddy?
Right,
and bring him over
exactly."
From the Raiders?
And it was termed an unexcused absence, and there was no punishment. All right, Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commandos. He's not quite the same guy that he used to be, but how good a fit is this in Washington's offense?
I think it's a really good fit. One, you got a GM in Adam Peters who was in San Francisco. He knows Deebo well, so you have some familiarity there. Two, you have now a guy who in Deebo can be, if you have a good play caller, and I think Cliff Kingsbury has been a really good play caller for Washington over the last year. I have questions about Kingsbury's stint with Arizona. You can go back to Texas Tech. You can criticize Cliff Kingsbury all you want, and I'm happy to do it, but he was a really good play caller last year. Deebo Samuel is a nice, easy button near the line of scrimmage, a horizontal guy who you can put in the backfield, you can move all over the place, that is going to make Jaden Daniels' life easier. And that should be the goal if you're a team that, was in the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback, and you have it on this, cost-protected deal for the next several years. You should be trying to make his life easier and build around him. And I think going out and getting a guy like Deebo, who pairs nicely with Terry McLaurin, is a really good choice. Now, are there concerns about Deebo looking fat in the offseason? Maybe. That's fine. I mean, who amongst us has not gotten fat in the offseason?
It's always the offseason for me, Will.
Yeah, that's right. I don't worry about that quite as much. I think you can do some fun stuff with him and Jaden Daniels if you want to line them up and run the read option out of the backfield, and that's not that outrageous. And just getting another weapon for Jaden Daniels that will force defenses to sort of ease back on Terry McLaurin. It makes all the sense in the world to me. And it was reasonably cost prohibitive. I like the move by Washington a ton.
As long as Samuel can stay healthy. I mean, the number of receptions is down. The yards per carry was down this year. Hey, some of that could be Trent Williams was also hurt for a large portion of the year, and we know what San Francisco has been like historically without Trent Williams at left tackle. So I hope it works out well for Washington. They were so much fun this year, but this is they're still going for it, and that is very cool. All right, sir, we'll stop there. Appreciate your time. As always, Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. He sorts the Sunday pile. When is your next mock draft?
I usually don't fire up mock drafts until closer to the draft these days. So,
okay.
But I'll probably have some sort of outrageous quarterback trade coming soon.
Yeah, because we have, based on your comment here, we have 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, which blows me away.
Or at least 1 and 3, 1 and 2 maybe.
Gosh, we keep doing this. We keep doing this and wondering why quarterback was.
Jaden Daniels in the NFC title game is not going to cause teams to stop drafting quarterbacks.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. I mean, he was great. I got zero problem with that. All right, my man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. See you, man.
Will Brinson, CBSSports.com. It's true. It's a great point. Jaden Daniels hitting, knowing that Caleb Williams will probably be fine, just changes everything. And Drake May looks like he's good.
Yeah.
I think Drake May is going to be good.
Yeah.
So maybe it's – but also I thought there were fewer questions about that trio, right? I don't know. Just the notion that because you don't have to pay these guys a lot, that this is when you should do it. I don't know. I feel like we're missing opportunities to build good football teams that can kind of mitigate mediocre quarterback play. And the desire, the desperation to find the next quarterback sets a lot of teams back. I think it just does. But maybe the good organizations prevent that. All right, we'll come back in a rewind. What are the chances that the Hurricanes roster looks significantly different on Friday? Next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuition's due. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? You know, when someone smiles at you, and right away you feel better. So why not pass on that smile to the next person? And then the next person passes it on to another. Winning friends one smile at a time. It's easy to do. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
Jumpstart your retirement savings at WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
But whenever you say, well, we're not using this as an excuse. No, we are. Whether it's justifiable or not can be a different discussion. But you are.
It's like the equivalent of saying no offense, but ...
Offense coming.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Look out. Here we come with some offense for you.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria. Producing the program. Canes are in Detroit tonight. Motown all day. Never terrible. Detroit's been good. They are 10-6-2, I believe, since the start of the new year. It's not dramatically different from, 15-6-2 since the start of the new year. Actually, they won their last two games in 2024. So 17-6-2. If you think about that over their last 25 games, that's better than what Carolina is over that same stretch of games. Not by a lot, but it's, been better than what the Hurricanes have been. Carolina, of course, had a dreadful month of February. A lot of that is the power play. Real quick, before we get into the rewind here, there are three things that are getting in Carolina's way of getting to consistently putting points, on the standings. And, whether it's getting closer to Washington, who has not been great of late, or just separating themselves from the Devils, which would be even more important, in my opinion. What you really want is home ice advantage in the first round, right? That's what you really need to get. And it's been a minute since the Hurricanes didn't have it. They didn't have it in year one, right? When they were the last. They weren't the last team. They were wild card one. And ended up in the Eastern Conference Finals. They didn't have it in year two, but of course year two ended in bubble hockey. Nobody had it. But from year three on, the Hurricanes were either the best or the second best team in the East until last year when they finished behind the Rangers. And they might have been the second best team in the East anyway. So the Hurricanes have had tremendous success. It hasn't been great this year. It's been good. They're not bad, in spite of what you might believe in terms of what you hear fans say. They're not bad. Just haven't been great. And again, we talk about Duke playing to a standard. That's what Carolina has, a standard of performance and results that we've grown accustomed to, and it hasn't been the same. But it wasn't supposed to be the same this year going into the season. We all know that. And the head coach admitted it before the season started. Our roster's not as good. Correct. It is not. Right now, the Hurricanes, we could talk about the power play. But all year long, we wondered why 5-on-5 isn't good. Like, we're not new. This is not a new problem. So 5-on-5 has been a problem all season long in terms of scoring goals. For, let's say, 2.5 months, the power play was excellent, and it was masking the 5-on-5 problem. The number of goals that were scored were masking the defensive problems and the goaltending problems. And again, problems are relative. The Hurricanes' goaltending hasn't been terrible. It's just been kind of okay. The Hurricanes' blue line hasn't been terrible. It's just been okay. Well, okay isn't going to win you a lot of playoff games or a lot of playoff series. You need much better than that in goal and on the blue line. And those are the real issues for this team. Because I've heard that, if just start scoring power play goals, they'll be fine. Not in the playoffs. Because the margins are too fine. And right now, the Hurricanes aren't getting good enough play on the back end or in goal to make 2 goals stand up. Against good we're talking against good teams. We're not talking against Calgary. Probably not going to be a playoff team. We're not talking against Buffalo. We're talking against the teams you're going to see in the playoffs. 2 goals ain't going to, even 3 goals might not beat you, might win you a game against the Devils or Washington or, heck, Columbus. So it isn't really, we just start scoring goals, everything will be fine. Nope. Because in the playoffs, those goals get harder to come by. So Carolina's formula has been and will be goal prevention, even with better offensive players. Their formula, their path forward has to include better goaltending, better play on the blue line, and a Mikko Rantanen who scores big goals down the stretch of the regular season into the playoffs. Starting tonight, there are 21 games left. After the trade deadline passes, there will be 19. I'm going to work from the assumption that Mikko Rantanen will be here, although there is a scenario where he's not. And that's where we'll start the rewind. Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, national hockey writer, joined me. So when I asked him, what do you think the chances are that roster, the Friday night, the roster is released and Rantanen isn't on it?
I can't wrap my brain around the idea that they made this trade for a negotiating window with Mikko Rantanen.
Agreed.
Like, I feel like they made this trade because just like they made the Gensel trade last year, they know inherently that this is a team that plays to the margins in the playoffs and is a team that is in 1 goal away, as you and I have talked about for many, many years, 1 goal away in many games from breaking through and playing for the Stanley Cup under Rod Brindamore. And so Gensel, his pedigree was as a playoff scorer. Rantanen, last, 6-7 years, has been one of the best producers offensively in the playoffs. And so you've made 2 trades that seem to address the Achilles heel of this team in the postseason. So then to turn around and kind of like sell 75 cents on the dollar Mikko Rantanen for pieces that don't have that pedigree doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And honestly, expecting a guy who had his absolute world rocked the way that he did less than 2 months ago to have certainty on where he wants to be for the next 8 years of his life, I think is also a bit naive. And the fact that he's not there yet is frustrating, but it shouldn't be the reason you cut bait with him. But I'll say this: like, if they're concerned about the blue line and they're concerned about the goaltending, I mean, back to napkin, they're going to have well over $16 million in cap space with Orlov, Burns, and Freddie coming off the cap this summer.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're going to have the flexibility to get younger and get better. If the idea is trade Ranton in some place where maybe you can get a goalie, I guess that makes sense because those types of players are harder to come by. And if you have an asset like that and you can pry someone away from a team that's really good, maybe you do that. But I guess the thing for me is like, we're both talking around Eric Tulsky's name on this one, and I think a lot of the reason why people are giving this idea credence is because Eric is playing 8-dimensional chess while we're all playing.
Right.
We're drooling. We're just drooling on the floor while he plays chess. The idea of acquiring Rantanen and then punting on the season, because essentially that's what you're doing. Like if you trade Rantanen, you are saying that our team is inferior, and then you come back to, well, why'd you go and make the trade then?
Right.
Unless it was all about asset management, and I don't believe it was. I guess you can applaud the pivot depending on what comes back, but optically, it's got to be giving some fans whiplash to have the team get the biggest player available this season on their roster, and then a scant 2 months later, less than 2 months later, be like, actually the team sucks and we're not going to sign him, and here's a new thing we're going to do. Like it's jarring to have that happen, but maybe that's what happens when you have somebody who's forward thinking and understands what the future's supposed to look like versus an old hockey person who's just going to double and triple down on a mistake they made.
All right, so there was a lot there. Greg Wyshynski joined us earlier. That conversation can be had in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. And again, I watched part of one of our clips on YouTube yesterday, and I was appalled at my posture.
Nah.
Appalled.
It happens. Sometimes you don't notice.
No.
Me too. But I'm standing.
You were also appalled at my posture. That's what you're saying.
No,
I heard it. I heard it, people. That's honestly, I'm not even like. Thank you. Thank you for calling me on it.
No. We're here for you.
Look, there are a lot of moving parts here. If we go from the assumption that the team has no indication one way or the other whether Rantanen would stay here after this year. If we go from that assumption, it's up in the air, we don't know. The Hurricanes will keep him because they're better with him than without him. I think that's a fair statement. If we go from the assumption that there's something behind the fact that he is first on almost every trade deadline rumor list, then I think there's a chance he's moved. It's just that simple to me. I'm not advocating it necessarily unless you get something that legitimately makes you maybe not better, but shores up an area that needs to be shored up. I am not sitting here and saying that they don't need Mikko Rantanen. That's silly. I pride myself on not being silly. They absolutely need Mikko Rantanen. They need a lot of things. But if they're under the impression that Mikko's not going to stay, then, and if they can use Rantanen to get something that will make them better next year, the year after, and again, this is I literally have no inside information about this. What if they were to turn Rantanen into a legitimate goalie? How would that change people's view of this? And whether, whoever that goalie is, let's say that goalie is John Gibson, whatever. Hurricanes fans love to trade for John Gibson, even if it's not going to happen. What if they turned it into a bona fide number one goaltender? That would change people's opinions, no? And I think the answer to that is, oh, yeah, of course. That would change people's opinions. Yeah, you're not making that trade just for Rantanen, or rather for a goalie. You'd have to get something else. But what if they did? So If the Hurricanes could make themselves better, not just this year, and again, better is relative, but going forward, they do it. They don't care what everybody else thinks of them. They are going to do what they believe makes them better, and they always have an eye on the future. And I said this before about Rantanen, and I want to get to one other thing in the rewind before we have to get out of here. When they traded for Rantanen, and I was initially screaming, yelling at clouds, like, why are we talking about him not going to be here because he hasn't signed his contract yet? This is before the Four Nations tournament. I said this was not a move about this year. This was never an all-in about this year. This was always about the future. Now, it was risky because they weren't allowed to discuss anything with Mikko Rantanen before the trade. The first time they really had a conversation with Rantanen was after the trade had been done. All right, let's move on to one more thing in the rewind. David Hale, ESPN, on the settlement that ends the lawsuits with Clemson and Florida State.
It accomplishes a few things. To your point, I don't know what college football is going to look like in 6 or 7 years, and I don't think anybody does. And a big part of this was giving flexibility to those schools. Now, there's sort of this assumption that if they can leave cheaper, then that's what they'll do. Maybe. I think there's certainly a realistic case. And not just them, certainly Carolina, Miami, Virginia. Like there's other schools that could do the same. The question, I think, will be at the time, what does the landscape look like? Are we moving to super leagues? In which case, there's a bunch of teams that are probably going to be figuring things out and a bunch of leagues that are going to be caving. Are we staying somewhat in the structure that we're in now? In which case, you got to do the math of, does it make sense for us to go to another league and potentially take less money in those other leagues to be a part of a bigger league that's more competitive, or to stay in the ACC where maybe you have better chance to get to the playoff area? Like right now, in today's landscape, if the money is close, which it will be under this new settlement, I think Clemson and FSU are better right where they are, because look at a school like Oklahoma and what happens when you take more money to go to the SEC. And here's the thing. Clemson and FSU aren't going to get Oklahoma money to go to the SEC. If the SEC was to even welcome them, which is an if, it would be at some lower percentage of the total, certainly not network money and some of the other stuff. So right now, if you're within a few $1 million of what the SEC schools are making, and you have an easier path to the playoff, and you don't have to pay a buyout, you're much better where you are right now. How much different does the scenario look in 2030, 2031, whatever, than it does now? To me, that's the big question. So saying for sure it's all over in 2031 or 2030, I don't know. But what this does do is give Clemson and Florida State a runway to get to gauge where the wind is blowing, and does the same for all these other schools. It gives them a runway to prepare for a very uncertain future.
I'll say it this way. What this deal does, good or bad, is it keeps the league together for 5 years until it inevitably either goes away or the sport, football, separates from everything. Bye.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We are 4 days into March. Can you smell the madness? I know you can. And right now, FanDuel new customers can get $150